Years ago, David Frost gave him a call and said, Peter, it's David here. I've got the Prince Andrew and his bride-to-be, Sarah Ferguson, round for dinner. Both enormous fans of yours. It'd be lovely if you could make it Wednesday the 10th. Please be there. So he said, hang on, I'll just check my diary. It's like pause and a rustling paper.
That's right, yeah.
He says, oh dear, I find I'm watching television that night. And it's about as damning as you can get, I think.
He may be very boring, but at least he's harmless.
He'd appeared in an early Private Eye. They had an Aesop Revisited thing, which was a kind of fables of modern life. And they had this Jonathan Craker, who was very clearly drawn by Willie Rushton to look like Peter Cook. And the story was that he was this tremendously successful comedian who became completely despairing, because whenever he said, can you show me the way to the gents, people fell about laughing and didn't show him the way to the gents. And then he took to the drink and finished up. I mean, it was terribly, horribly prophetic, really, because what it spotted about Peter was this terrible underlying boredom, and all his best Whisty sketches are about a man who's desperately bored. I don't think people realize how completely driven he was by boredom, and I think that accounts for a lot of the refuge in sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
It's on the public record, I've done a lot of drugs.
Yes.
I've done a lot of drugs, and I've slept with a lot of women.
Yeah.
And boys and girls at home don't.
Yeah.
If you think that by sleeping with thousands of women and taking thousands of drugs, you're going to have a good time, let me just say this. Don't. Because I'm telling you, I just got out of the Henry Ford Clinic. And
Henry Ford Clinic?
Yes.
Not the Betty Ford?
No, the Henry one is a much tougher regime.
Yeah.
You have to build a car before you're allowed out.
Peter just takes the piss out of the world of rock and roll, because it is a laugh and things do go wrong.
Thank God, just for today,
yeah.
I'm clean and sober.
Yeah.
And I would not like it to be any other way.
No.
So don't.
Yeah. So, all right.
Whatever you do,
so
don't.
That's your message.
Don't.
Yeah. Now, in the 70s, you...
Just say, maybe.
Yeah.
The whole silliness of the supergroup, and, you know, like, the sign to the people, you know, and the Bob Dylan hat. Perfect.
I remember one night having a drink with him and then him saying, calling into a strip club in St Anne's Court. And what I wasn't prepared for was the fact that Peter was obviously the favourite and most regular visitor. And the girl took her bra off and threw it straight to Peter in the audience. And I was terribly impressed by that.
Is it true that you don't have sex before a fight?
No, it's during a fight. He must have sex before a fight. I mean, he's quite old now, and I mean, I wouldn't ask you if you have sex. Don't ask you if you have sex before a show. I can see that you have. But... Well, look at this. Look at this. It's a different angle. That's right. Zoom in, lad. Zoom in.
He was a master at the offhand comment. When we opened the Playboy clubs in Chicago, because of legal problems, they didn't want us to make it appear that we were a proper club. So they didn't want us to call our members members. And this is actually part of an ongoing campaign against Playboy by the authorities who were closely linked to the Catholic Church in Chicago. So they insisted that we call our members key holders. And Peter just casually looked around and said, beauty is in the eye of the key holder. And of course, that became practically a commercial slogan of ours.
He loved the louche sort of underworld of Playboy and things like that. So they said, should we go to the Ritz Club? So he arrived at the Ritz Club, and they didn't like his trainers. So he couldn't go into the casino, and he said, I'm not taking... They offered him a pair of shoes. He said, I'll take off my lucky Reeboks. Are you mad? My lucky Reeboks? So he walked all the way over to Crockford's, where they didn't mind his lucky Reeboks.
Whatever team he wanted to win, Peter would always bet on the other team, because his reasoning was that if the team he wanted to win lost, then he would be very disappointed, but at least he'd be compensated financially. Whereas if the team he wanted to win won, then it would matter if he lost the money. So that was his way of having his cake and eating it.
Would you say that your career has largely been a failure?
Or a success. Depends on how you look at the ball. Toss it in the air, let it fall, you know not where.
Yeah.
But I can look myself in the mirror in the morning and say, there is a man.
He went on the Clive Anderson show, and he was absolutely back to his best. And his friends sort of rang around and said, isn't it great? Wasn't he one of them? And we sort of forgot about it. We thought, he's fine. He's back on his feet. What I realize now in retrospect is he had a double blow. He had a difficult settlement with an ex-wife, and then he also lost his mother. And that double blow pushed him back into the drinking. If those two things hadn't come so close together, I think he would still be with us.
I have a handicapped daughter with learning disabilities, and she needs full-time care and love and attention. So I understood that Peter and my daughter are two very special people, and they're also very similar. They both love me a lot and need me, and I love and care for them too.
Lynn really loved him. And I'm not sure that he'd had that kind of support before from anyone.
It did matter to him that our marriage should work. So he really was a sweetheart. He really was.